All these clones, we the original.
The Original People Network presents Behind the Box with Hamian.
And I'm back up on my hydrogen. They was asking if I'm about to go dumb again. I couldn't lie, I betray what I've been holding in. I couldn't lie, I betray what I've been holding in. The kids need a place for the safety. I made a wave, everybody think it's crazy. I made another and they calling me a renegade. And only God.
Greetings, world. Welcome to Behind the Box, a special limited edition series hosted by the Original People Network and Hamian Official, located at the one and only Tin Furl Pop-Up Park.
Let's go.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Many of you are probably wondering, what is this? What are we talking about? Why are we here? Well, if you didn't know, we have a box. That's right, a 6-foot cube. Literally, probably about 6.3 to be specific. But a physical, huge cube that we have set up here at the Tin Furl Pop-Up Park. And we have big, big dreams and ambitions of what it's going to look like in the future. What's it going to look like? I don't know. But we have visions for it being as amazing as possible. So we wanted to take this time to have a series to talk about Hamian, talk about the box, talk about art, culture, and society in the Bahamas, and really begin putting out the ideas to help move the country as well as just the spirit of the nation forward. And on this show, I'm going to be bringing on a couple of our guests today. We're going to be talking about the lead-up process to get us here. A lot of people saw Hamian. They've seen the brand. They've seen the collabs and networks and connections that have made us what we are today. But we're going to take some time to roll back the clock and talk about how we got here in the first place, as well as give y'all some insight on where we are going today. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our first guest that we have on, the one and only Brandon. Introduce yourself.
So that's it. My name is Brandon Kemp. I am 24 years old, an aspiring entrepreneur, trying to create platforms for economic and cultural development. That's my line. That's my line.
Yeah. And I am both. I am a Christian artist and social architect. You know, I had to get my wording together. Yeah, because last time I didn't have everything together. And obviously with us, we have the whole Original People Network crew in the back. You know, they right there. Yeah. As well as we have some other Hamian members with us today. But we're going to get straight into it. So, Brandon, we've known each other for a long time. Probably, I mean, I don't even remember how we first met. We were in the same high school together.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I think our realtor and youth group, though.
Yeah. We went to the same youth group, Global Village Youth Group.
Yeah,
Shout out to that. Yes. And I think that was probably the first time we got involved with just launching projects and doing stuff for fun, whether that was community. What was some of the first things you remember getting involved with? I remember you had IOT. Yes.
Yeah. So I think IOT definitely was my introduction to the world of, just volunteer work, just helping out the community. So IOT, if you're familiar with Beijing Rogers, she started that back in 2009. And all it was it's IoT it's our turn. So it was a movement of young people trying to improve the community. And that's where I really got full and ended up becoming the VP of that. And for a solid 6 to 8 years, I was a part of that organization.
Yeah. And then I remember you left and went off to Logos.
Yeah.
Boat. Yeah. What was that process like? And what are some of the biggest things that you learned? Because, I mean, obviously, a lot of people go off to school, but you had the opportunity to travel the world, really, and get experience. How has that played a big role into some of the things that you're doing today?
It's hard to wrap up 4.5 years in one conversation, but to give a bit of a background, the Logos Hope is known as the world's largest floating book fair, but really it's a missionary ship. So what they do is it's about 400 people from 65 different countries with the mission of sharing knowledge, help, and hope. So knowledge through the educational library on board, help through the 30 to 60 people that travel onshore each day to partner with local organizations, nonprofits, and then the hope. So everybody has the hope in Christ. So that's the drive, and that's the fuel behind all that we were doing. So when I graduated from high school, I was planning to go to university, ended up on the ship instead. I was supposed to be there for 1 year, which turned into 4.5 years.
4 years.
So you can tell that was it was worth an amazing experience. So to give my my lesson that I learned. Okay, I think the first thing was that the world isn't as big as we thought it was. You know, so during my time on board, I think I went to around 32 different countries, and I found that every country we went to, the people were pretty much the same. You know, we had our own cultures, our own traditions, but at the core of who we all are, we all need a community to belong to, something to seek towards or to drive towards. And I think it's all of us living together in that community with all those different cultures, that creating that meshing pot. It worked, like just being able to interact with all these societies.
And how did the Bahamas measure up culture-wise and identity-wise to some of the other places that you were able to visit?
Okay, so Western culture has traveled far. You know, so we saw almost everywhere we went that there were aspects of Western culture. To give a contrast, Myanmar, that's one of the countries we went to, and it had only opened up to the outside world like two years before we went there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it was very, very untouched by Western civilization. And just seeing the way they dressed, their style of makeup, their music, all of it was so different. They didn't have exposure to, I think, American TV or all of this and that. So for example, like their makeup, they took this paste from a tree, a white paste from the bark, and they would rub it in circles on their faces. So people are walking around with these 3 big circles on their face as their beauty. That's how they show off. Oh, look at my makeup, you know.
Yeah.
So I think Bahamas compared to a country like that, our culture is quite mixed. You know, we do have our Bahamian culture, but just living in the Bahamian society, you realize that we have a lot of outside influences in the way that we dress, the music we listen to, the way we interact. So I think for such a small country as we are, living next to that hub of Western culture of the United States, yet the fact that we still have our own music, we still have our own slang, I think that is a testament to how strong our culture is, despite the fact that we are become a lot of a melting pot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because we probably are one of the Caribbean countries that has the closest proximity to not only the U.S., but U.S. culture. We have tourists who are coming here on a regular basis. TV, news is all American. Yeah. But yet we still have this English vernacular that is so defined and so concrete is Bahamian. So I think that's definitely true. We had talked in the past, you said that there were a lot of places that you would go to and visit, and you almost drew a lot of inspiration and ideas from those places. I know you talked about the market in Thailand or what things were being done in Mexico.
Yeah.
You came over here when you were done and I think brought a lot of those ideas and concepts and started to materialize them, whether that was the Nassau Night Market or the pop-up park. What was the trigger in your mind to really say, you know, I've been around the world, I've seen these things, but I see the gaps and I want to bring them here to the Bahamas?
Yeah, so a lot of the time that we spent in poorer countries, you know, so, and even not poorer countries, but the poorer areas in the countries. You know, just the nature of the work that we did, we went where the help was needed the most. We did the libraries, like shoes, really just aid work. So I saw that what these countries were doing with the resources that were available to them, and it really blew me away because I saw how innovative they had to be. You know, for example, Taiwan, they saw earlier on that, you know, not everybody's going to have the money they need to open up their own storefront. So then they developed these night markets where people could just show up with their booth set up in a parking lot and pool the resources of everybody that was there to pull customers from all around the city. So I saw over and over again all these countries that did not have much resources be innovative in the way they needed to solve their economic problems. So I came back to the Bahamas and I'm like, I'm seeing the power of our dollar, for example. So how in South Africa, I was able to eat a rib dinner with a drink at a restaurant for $5. That's ridiculous. Wow. So we come back to the Bahamas and I see how strong our currency is, you know, being tied to the US currency, how open our economy is, yet we weren't being as innovative and creative as those poor countries needed to be. So I think that we had gotten comfortable in that. So when I came back and I said, like, what? Like, how are we not doing all these things? So I'd kept a journal during my time abroad, a journal of different things that I'd seen along the way, and just like kept, okay, I like that idea, let me write that down. And when I came home, I just like opened up the book and it was like, yo, all of these things we could whip out easily. Could be done easily because we have the strong economy. Even though our population is small, we have millions of tourists coming every year. So the opportunities really were like limitless as I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, you mentioned a lot of really big things. And I think right now in the world, there's this time where minority cultures as well as the global South, third world countries have this big push to say, we want to work towards building our countries. We want to work towards having self-determination. And I think something that's so important is one, the innovation, but also this idea of like shared economics, that not everybody's going to have the capital up front to have a storefront, but something like a night market, something like a pop-up space is something where you only need small amounts of overheads, but you can get a lot of things done and you benefit from everyone else's growth. And I saw this video, I think last night, and it said if you wanted to build the tallest building in a city, there's two ways you could go about doing it. One, you could either build the tallest building in the city, or you could build an average sized building and then tear down the other buildings around there so that your building is then the tallest. And I think a big idea is moving to start and pivot towards ideas that are individual, are progressive in their own mind, are as good as individuals can make them, but are also considerate of everyone else and understanding that if everybody just tries to make their own tallest building, we can eventually have a city of skyscrapers by that process. And it's crazy because I've known you for a long time. I saw the Nassau Night Market develop, but we really started talking about ideas for collaboration in about August, September of last year. One of the biggest ideas that we both kind of come up with is this idea of a culture hub, that how great would it be if there's one spot where there could be the development of talent and entrepreneurial spirit in the Bahamas. There were opportunities for retail, there was opportunities for tourism, but it was all kind of in one location. It's crazy to see that we went from that conversation months ago, and the idea was like, okay, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, completely separate, and we'll just trust that if we keep working in that same direction, there'll be more ideas for us and opportunities to come together. And now we're in a point in time where the Hamian box is in the pop-up park, and there's a pop-up park just in general, like just in the fact that that exists. I don't think it was in the cards back in August.
No, that's true. Honestly, like even if you didn't like really say like that, I would have almost forgotten that we actually had these exact same conversations where we dreamed this and we aspired to it. I think, the difference is like, I think with our generation, I'm not to say the previous generations didn't do this, but I feel like we, more than ever, very intentional about just supporting one another and seeing what each other's passions are and supporting that. So for example, when you talked about the culture hub, I also had Hello Culture, which is a language learning business, and our focus is more international cultures. So like the Latino, French, Mandarin culture. And then when you shared your idea about about Hamian and promoting Bahamian excellence, then you filled in that gap of adding the Bahamian culture aspect to it. And I just feel like once we realize that all of us can be those pieces in a puzzle and we work together rather than exactly trying to like tear down the skyscrapers, then that really that makes us powerful. It makes us like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And I mean, that's facts, because I tell people all the time, even though, I enjoy the work that I'm doing, there's no way I could make a huge difference in the world just by myself. You need people. And it's important to have the self-awareness to kind of know what you're good at and what you're maybe not so good at, because I know how to stay in my lane, but support the people who are good at the things that I'm not good at, because in the future, their success can complement my success. Like I can't speak other languages. I took French for about 10 years, and it's probably the one subject that has held me back from getting finished with school. So there's no way I could complement and work on the aspect of connecting cultures in a way that Hello Culture does. Or, I don't think I could have set up something like Nassau Night Market. And even when it comes to Bahamian cultures, there's aspects of our culture that I am not extremely proficient on, that I need those individuals who are like, yes, I know everything about Junkanoo, or yes, I know everything about about the emerging cultures, whether that's new rap, new soca, whether that's the textile industry, all of these different sub aspects of culture. There's no way I can know all of it and do all of it. And that's where I think we have a benefit of being a small country, because if everybody just becomes very specialized in what they're doing, you know, we have the population where everybody can do their own thing, and you wouldn't even probably bump heads with too many people once you really just start working on what you want and then refining it as it goes. How have you seen?
And but just quick to touch on that, like, so you mentioned, anyway, so you're saying like, you know, we all have our own specialties, and I think for so long growing up, you're always taught that, you know, the island is so small, so you got to compete. You know, you have to be the only one in order to be successful. But even like with Hamian from the beginning, you guys recognize yourself as an international company, an international brand, something that would go beyond the Bahamian borders. And I think that like we, as the world is becoming more globalized, we as in the Bahamas, we realize that our market is not just the Bahamian market. So for things like culture, things like entertainment, music, art, we don't need to try fight in the Bahamian economy because we have access to the whole global economy. And that's why I feel like in such a small country, we really need to be pushing each other, like supporting one another, because we have a whole world to tap into.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's crazy because even if you're a brand in the US, right? Like let's say fashion, for example. Let's say you're like you're building up a fashion company, you have a clothing line. Your goal is Paris Fashion Week or New York Fashion Week, or being able to break into international markets. And I think that's no different. When we were building out Hamian, it was very clear that we wanted to be internationally focused, because if you're aiming for the rewards that are existing just in the Bahamas, it is limiting, and it is easy to compete because there's only so much to fight for. But when you look at the whole globe, you understand that you represent a very unique niche that if you make very clear, and if you compete in the same way that these Asian brands, European brands, US brands are working, you can have a space, you can have a clientele, you can make a mark for yourself without even necessarily being based in the Bahamas. But one of our biggest focuses, we wanted to be that international creative agency that stood for Bahamian excellence. So another thing why we see today with so much money that kind of gets taken out of Black and minority economies and communities, we wanted to take this approach with saying part of our intrinsic value as a business is giving back. So the more we succeed, the more we do well, we are almost obligated to be reinvesting that into, say, Bahamian designers, Bahamian producers, or just the Bahamian community. Because if we're keeping all profits in-house and then going around the world, it's easy for us to get lost in the globe and forget where we came from. And I think that's why both of our work is important, because even though it is globally minded, it ultimately is providing opportunity for what locally exists.
Yeah. Like honestly, like I'm just to go back to the culture and music thing. Jamaica is a perfect example of this. You know, Jamaica has the whole globe knows the culture of Jamaica, and I feel like the Bahamas, we're known for the beaches, for the hotels, but we're not known for our Bahamian culture. So like groups like brands like Hamian are so essential in, I think, creating that space where Bahamian creatives can understand that, hey, we have a valuable product that can grow. And what we're doing with Tinfurl as well, like we're really just trying to show Bahamian entrepreneurs that collaboration is the way that we have to go if you want to see our businesses get to where we want to be. So like at the pop-up park, we have, at the night market, we would have up to 17 vendors a day down at the night market, and it worked. You know, we're all in this jam-packed space, but the fact is that, just as you said earlier, we pool off of each other's resources, of each other's customers, and we create a space where somebody that only has the dream and maybe $100 worth of products, they can come out there and gain access to a whole clientele. And a lot of these guys, their dreams are to start exporting. They really are. So when you have your dreams set and you're with other people that have those same dreams and same goals, then it just works. It works as we support each other and help each other grow. And that transcends, I think, across all industries. The creative industries, the economic, food. Really, collaboration is the way to go.
I agree. And to wrap it up, what are some of your dreams for this space? I mean, we just got set up with the box here this week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I didn't even think we would end up here. When we had this box, my initial idea was to just drop it somewhere, like put it Rawson Square and know that it was probably going to get taken by police or something after a while, but just make a stand. But pivoting and putting it here, I feel like is a direction to create this space as a monumental space for the island as well as the country. What do you think the potential is for this specific location here at the Dundas?
I really feel like having a physical location like the Dundas is really our way to show the world that, hey, this is, I think especially our generation, you find like a lot of the people that are out here are younger people, even though we do have a lot of vendors that are older. But I feel like this property can be the representation of our generation saying, hey, look at what we have to offer. And it starts to be recognized eventually as a place where people can go to see their dreams accomplished. Like, say, for example, we have Tinfurl partnering with Hamian, and somebody's like, okay, I want to start my own business. I want to create a sushi empire. I want them to immediately think of Tinfurl and the Dundas property as a place where they can go to see that dream realized. With you guys, with Hamian, if somebody is, they're creative, they want to start their own record label. I want them to recognize this is a place that they can come to connect with other like-minded people, to build that network and get access to that support group that they need to grow their empire to where they want it to be. So I think that really is the future of this whole place, is to just be, when somebody thinks of, okay, where do we need to go to start my dreams? They think of here. They think of our collaboration. They think of the spirit that we represent down here.
Facts. And I remember you told me a lot about this space, and you're like, oh yeah, you got to come out and see it. And I was like, yeah, I've been to the Dundas before, but it really wasn't until I was here physically that I saw the potential that it has. And at the end of the day, it just comes up to the vision and faith to be able to say, this is a historic place. How do we transform it and evolve it? Paradise Island was Hog Island before it was Paradise Island, Before there was an Atlantis, it was just a piece of rock. So how can we look at the space, inject the right energy, the right people, the right vibe, and then just trust that over time and with the right type of management, it can be something that we once wanted it to be. So that wraps up our first section. Thank you so much, Brandon, for coming on. For anyone who's interested, where can they find the Tinfurl Pop-Up Park? Yeah,
so we're at the Dundas on Mackey Street, next to the Ryan Furley home, opposite Bertha's Go-Go Ribs. But Tinfurl, if you look it up online, you'll find us, our website, IG, Facebook.
Solid.
Tinferl.
Tinfurl.
Huh?
The one place, the only place to be. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be the place for the future. Thank you, Brandon, so much for coming on Behind the Box. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. We could be back soon.
Drop my people insane, I know they waiting on me. These niggas can't even see. I just was trying to be me. I'm just trying to be free. I'm just trying to reach them heights where niggas thought I couldn't.
How'd go. Welcome back to Behind the Box. It's your host, Boat, and you watching Hamian Official X Original People Network exclusive limited edition series on the story behind the box. On this first signature series, we digging back to talk about how we got to where we are today, and I blessed, overjoyed to have with me one of my true brethren, J. Ferg. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, man, you already know what it is. My name is Jared Ferguson, go by J. Ferg, artist / photographer / videographer,
A little bit of everything. So I known Jared from time. Like, we known each other since we was young, and I guess we really got the chance to get close. Because we went to university, the same university, Liberty University. Shouts out LU.
Right.
Yeah, controversial, but we still gonna pick up the school always. Jared been my brethren from a long time, but I wanted to bring him on specifically because he's been one of the people to witness everything that's happened from Hamian. Like, literally from the beginning, before there was an idea, before there was a name, back when we really was just booling and chilling.
Yeah, for real. I remember this boy come to me in the library. We were supposed to be doing homework, but skylocking. We was taking pictures, and I see him put an edit on it. It say Hamian, and I was trying to figure out what it was. I thought it's just like a preset, but apparently it's something bigger.
But and that was a crazy day too, because I remember that was the first day I had made the photo, and I had to just come back from Abaco, and we was having the relief event.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be November 11th, and I thought it was November 7th, right? So I was dripped down like fresh. I had suit jacket on, jeans, clean, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I gone to go on the bus, I was like, babe, drippy. I was like, babe, imagine if I had one photo of me walking onto the bus. But I didn't, I was like, who gonna take the photo? No one was on the bus. So I gone to the I was like, babe, I should ask the driver. And he was one jokey, babe, who I'd always dap up. So I go and I was like, babe, you want to take one photo of me? Eh? So I was like, yeah, babe. So we go and take the photo.
I surprised he take that, dude. I'm just by mistake.
Yeah, but like it was one take and it was solid. So I edited it, put it together. And when I got to school, I found out the event wasn't on like that day. So I was
It was like a Tuesday.
yeah, it was
a Tuesday. The wine was until Friday.
and I showed up on a Tuesday. And I was just fresh. So I was like, babe, Chard, you want to go take one photo shooting? So yeah, we did go to the library and we was just taking photos from then.
Mm-hmm.
So that was crazy. But even from before then, like I remember back in my room, like I decorated the first wall. I had that dripped out. And I was like trying to make my room at school a spot where people could come, chill, and bool without needing no TV, no electricity, but it would still be a spot. But it was like solid. Like we would go out there, chill,
Yeah, I remember we take a bunch of pictures the first time you finished that.
Yeah. Like it was always about taking photos from back then. And I mean, I'm curious, like, what was your thought process when I first brought up the idea to seeing it where it is now? Like, what is your perspective on it? Because I know a lot of people when I bring up ideas to them, because I always bringing up ideas, they like, yeah, this another one. But this one of them things that actually, got some traction. So I want to know what your opinion was on how we've grown and got to where we are so far.
Well, honestly, I thought you just was coming to me with another random idea. I didn't think it was going anywhere. I just thought this was another side thing, just like CSA.
Yeah.
But to see how far you came with it and how much you want to do with it for actual career path, career starter, it's amazing.
Yeah, I remember like the first photos that we put on Hamian Official, because I made my first set. But I think I remember the first 3 sets of photos was Chewy, Peyton, and you. And it literally started, I was just hitting up people like, wait, send me a photo of you right quick.
Yeah, just
like I was
random
having
pictures.
everybody send me photos of them just so I could slap one Hamian on that end
Yeah, for real.
and put it out. But it's crazy that from then, like it started out as then, and then next semester, we had the chance to do the first sample series shoot. Because we
that
made the
was fun.
shirts, you got the...
That was a lot of fun. I got the Hamian drip.
Yeah.
Try not to wash it too much.
Yeah, we made that, and I remember I was like, wait, I don't want to just make clothes. I want to make like a whole like experience out of it. So what was that like? Because you never really had no experience with modeling before you came into that. But I mean, it was still a vibe and it was a pretty solid time. What was that experience like?
It was really fun. I always wanted to try modeling, but like I always the one behind the camera because I still love videography a lot. So just to get that experience to where we are able to do something that's, it's just fun, solid, ain't nothing too serious. And how we were able to not only get our friend group, but also a couple other people we weren't familiar with, and still seeing everybody come together for such a like, even though it started off as a random idea, something that eventually turns to be really solid.
Yeah, because the people we had on that shoot, I remember it was like you, Peyton, Raven, but then obviously y'all
another
Bahamian.
random boy named Gabe. I was
Yeah,
like, I
Gabe
don't know
from
who this nigga is.
Macedonia. Dan is from Nigeria. Becca was from Korea.
It was crazy.
So all y'all was from around the world. And then the photographers, I didn't
I
really
had
know
no idea
them.
who they was.
Yeah, I knew like there's one gal I know, and I did show her the shirts, and she was like, "Are you doing a shoot?" And I was like, "No." She was like, "I want to shoot the photos." I was like, "All right, say less." And
One
then we
thing-
got Micah.
Yeah, one thing I can say about them Liberty students, they always anxious to do something. They always want to record or shoot something.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
if they ain't getting paid.
Real because we had like 5 videographers there
Yeah.
who was just taking photos just so they could like put it on their highlight reel, get their Instagram popping. But
For
that
real.
really is what everybody was doing.
Micah got restarted his whole IG after that.
Yeah. But I remember that's a whole other story with Micah. But that was a solid time because some of them photos I still post in now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because it ain't just like one photographer you have photos from. You have like 4 different types of presets, styles.
I actually just dropped a picture not too long ago from that Hamian series.
Hey, yes.
Instagram is Jared X Austin, just in case you wondering.
Yeah, Jared X. Austin, you know. And then obviously he was a big rapper too, you know.
Something like that. I do it for fun.
For fun. Yeah, it's a hobby. It's a
Yeah,
hobby,
yeah,
something
yeah,
on the
yeah.
side. Yeah, how have you, I guess, seen your creative ambitions change just from being influenced and connected to the Hamian brand? Because I mean, obviously, the more you talk to people about what you're doing, the more you get a little bit of publicity or spotlight. It's a little bit of an encouragement to push you forward to be like, man, maybe I should try this a little more. How have you seen your motivation grow over time from just being around the right type of energy?
Honestly, like, it's increased because I see all these young Bahamians, young adults, young stars wanting to do something, and like how I just feel like, not saying that like anyone is better, like communication and collaboration is key, but it's just like I feel like I could improve, I could be better, even though I felt comfortable. Whenever I started to feel a little uncomfortable, like I want to be the best, like I don't know if you watched the Michael Jordan doc, how he like make up things and he had to motivate himself.
Yeah.
I started doing that, right? Like I can't just sit back and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Someone could take my spot.
For sure. And I think, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, everybody's trying to be a photographer, everyone trying to be a videographer, everyone trying to rap. But I mean, I think there's so much space for people to do that. And the more people who are being creative, whether it's a hobby or whether it's professional, it raises the standard. Because someone gonna rise to the top and be like, wow, you dropped a crazy album. Whoa, he shot a crazy music video.
Yeah, for sure.
And because everybody around there, they're like, oh, that might have been your boy. And you're like, okay, I want to step up. Or maybe he's the person who's featuring on your tape, you know? So, I mean, I know you brethren, people like Sean, Kamal, like all these people who able to work with you. And I guess that also gives some encouragement to be like, hey, you know, if we grow, all us could kind of, you know, feed off each other energy, you know?
Yeah, we always say if one of us make it, everybody can eat. So we always got respect for each other. Make sure everybody's straight.
That's facts. Talk to me a little bit about Monday, because you vlogged the whole moving day for the box. And that was a crazy, like, I mean,
Wait, dog.
I have my phone on me. My phone absolutely destroyed.
Wait, dog. That was crazy.
Absolutely destroyed. Talk to me a little bit about like the behind the scenes of some of the things that happened.
So, I think I was supposed to meet you for 12 at your house.
Yeah.
To see, like, just to get everything organized, right? And I just remember we was pulling off, and setback number one, this boy say, hold on, I turned him back. Like, he stopped and he spin around. He was like, hold on, come back. I was like, what happened? He said, boy, I can't find my phone. He said, I think I leave it on the top of the hood. I say, how you gonna leave your phone on the top of the hood?
Wait, but literally, I remember in that moment, because you did pull up and we had the handshake that we used do. So I was like, okay, I need both hands clear for my handshake, because we just got, I mean, just gotta, you just gotta start with the whole,
You
I
wanna
mean,
do that now?
yeah. So I can't do that with one hand available. So I had to put my phone somewhere. So I rested on the hood. And it's crazy because in the vlog video, you could see my phone on the hood.
Yeah.
And Gio was right there in the car like, I think you put it on the hood. I was like, no, stop. I ain't happen. But yeah, so apparently the drop and someone run over it. But
It's a good thing the person was nice enough to
yeah,
give it
they
back,
like
though.
she called and like found where I was, came, dropped it back off. But that was a crazy day just in general.
And then we went downtown. I don't know what that area was, but like it was in a parking lot where the box was. And just trying to get that on was crazy because we had like, how much? It was like four or five of us.
Yeah, like 5 niggas. Yeah.
Yeah, we was just, all us were struggling trying to get the box on
Yeah.
his family friend truck.
Yeah.
Oh, that was your uncle?
No, that was my neighbor's son.
That's your neighbor's son?
Yeah, well, my
That
neighbor
boy
was
like
older.
70.
My neighbor was old.
True.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so, but I mean, that was a crazy day and now it was set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now the box can kind of become, I want it to be a lot of things, right? I want it to be a place where there's a lot of creative expression, you know, a lot of collaboration. But I also want it to be a place for community, you know?
Yeah.
I want it so that at 5 o'clock, you know, we run in one happy hour and anyone could pull up, you know, bring whatever, just chill out.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually slam some dominoes and just have it be a spot because the niggas at work till 5. You want them, you know, they already ain't enjoying work. So
Yeah,
if you
for
know after work,
And it's
hey,
quarantine.
yeah, you know, you have one spot you could just pull up to, even just drive through because it's right next to the box.
Yeah.
I think it's a really solid space for the future for people to just, one, meet people for one, but then also, start moving and grooving, because niggas don't have things like Light Vibes and all these other big community events yet. So you got to start from the ground up. You got to start.
I think one thing Bahamians need to learn how to do is collab, because I feel like everybody so like prideful in a way. Not like everybody motivated, they determined, but no one really want collab as much. And I feel like once we like come together, it'll be easier for us.
I think so too, because I mean, anyone who's successful, especially in entertainment, they always got a team with them. If you are an artist, you probably have a designer or someone who a stylist, who picks out your clothes. Right. You probably have a photographer, maybe 2, 3 photographers. One by who just around you all the time vlogging, one by who shooting photo, one by who doing more the serious shots. You have people who doing business. Everybody pooling their talents and their skills to do something. And you are true, like, I think when you start putting money as the requisite to work together, you start preventing proper grassroots growth, because the people who got the money are large times the people who are at the top, or people who are successful, or people who depend on the commercial aspect of it. Right. But for people from the ground up, like I remember when I was a kid, it was easy to just collab with your boy because it's a Saturday and you don't have nothing else to do. Yeah. But now that you're kind of an adult and you want to push it more serious, you still have to have that childlike, just like, wait, let's do this for the love of it,
I feel like a lot of people don't want to, like, they can't stand the fact that someone making more money than them.
I mean, it's a tough, like what you're saying with Brandon, like it's tough when you competing for the same wins. That's why we were saying it's important to like shift to more global goals. You got to aim to try and bring in international audience, international client. You really have to, like I said, be Bahamian focused, but have aspirations much greater than that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you though.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I was just wondering, like, how a lot of Bahamians, they go off to school and then they don't really feel like coming back. What was your reason why you, I guess not care, but like why you so driven to stay home?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Like, I think anytime I talk to people now and they're like, oh, you chose to stay home, they like very shocked. I had the opportunity to go in the U.S. I mean, obviously, I kind of smart because with COVID, I kind of came back at the perfect time because it's hard to get a job anyway. But, I could have gone the route of going to the UK, the US, other places. But from my perspective, one, I just realized that no matter where you are in life, you could struggle. And I remember I was in Abaco and I was sitting outside trying to work on repairing this building in the hot sun. And I was like, but anywhere I am in life, I can struggle. I might as well struggle in a place where I love, I already have my family here. I already have my people here. I already see the potential in the Bahamas. I don't want to go to the UK and help build up the UK. I don't want to go to the US and build up the US. I would rather be here and struggle, but work towards building up the Bahamas, because all these geniuses go work for Microsoft or McKinsey or Deloitte or these big companies around the world, and they just getting paid wages to pour back into the economy of that local place and using their talents to build up this big company that ain't helping the Bahamas at all. So
that's true.
I mean, I understand why people go off, and I got international experience while I was at school. I think you should get that. But I think when you make that decision of where do I want to build my career, where do I want to invest, where do I want to hone my craft, you have to be thinking about the future. And I think too, but like, if you in New York and you are like a decent artist, I see you a good artist in New York, no one could know you. But if you that same level of an artist in the Bahamas, you'll be one of the best, right? And think of all the people you influence. Like, you could make such a greater impact nationally from being in the Bahamas. And like I say, I understand why people just go other places, but I really respect the people who see the vision of what the Bahamas could be.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my answer.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. You have any other questions?
Let me see. Why Hamian? Why Hamian as the name?
So that's actually a crazy story too. So obviously I work with JP, my brethren on the brand. But before anything, we used to be sitting around and we was like, I don't pull it back. I remember it was July 10th. Close.
2019.
2019. But I was in Rockefeller Park, New York. And we was walking around and we had just talked to one like random nigga who was pretending to be like a Buddhist monk, but he really wasn't. He was a scammer. But he was dressed up like that. we just talked to him, and we was walking around in Rockefeller, and JP was like, "Babe, let's start a lifestyle brand." I was like, "Babe, what is a lifestyle brand?" I have no idea what that means, and he was like, "No, babe, let's start one." I was like, to this day, I still don't really know what it means. But like, I was in school, and I remember this. I used to go to business school, you know, the new business school. I remember I go and rent out one mini whiteboard, and I was just sitting there writing out names, like trying to think of something. And the first name was Tings. I was like, I call it Tings. Whatever this is, I call it Tings. But I was like, this still don't sound right.
So you was just like, let me take the BA out of Bahamian.
Well, I talked to Johnny, and I was like, I want to do something Bahamian. Send it. He say Hamian, and he put it in lowercase. And I was like, that's the ugliest name I've ever seen in my life. Like, it just don't sound right. It don't look good. But then I take a lot of inspiration from like the high brands like Chanel, Gucci. And I was looking at some of the photos, and I was like, wait, I get accepted if we put it in all caps. And that's my only rule.
Wow.
If it in all caps, I could do it. And it worked. If Hamian was in lowercase, I think that's pretty lame, but in all caps, it fresh. So
I mean, it works.
it works. So yeah, it really wasn't my idea. It was more so JP, but
True.
I put the little style on it to make it, really click. And obviously we make the signature logo. You could see you wearing one of the signature shirts. We only have about 30 of these shirts made. This one specifically is a 1 of a 1. I don't know if you want to show them the back real quick.
The camera can see.
We got that drip, specially made. And I mean, by even talking about this, you remember like we was sitting in the Moss, and I came up and I just asked you like 5 questions, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the questions. I just know it was just like deep life questions.
Yeah, like we
like
sit
what I've been through as a kid and things.
Yeah, I asked you like 10 serious questions about your life. Then I was like, all right, I can make a shirt based off this.
And what's crazy how you put like how Kobe inspired me, and like literally a couple weeks afterwards, he died.
Yeah.
And that broke me, dog.
Yeah,
That broke me.
and Kobe on the shirt, Kobe
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
back of the shirt, dunking up in the corner. So it was crazy. But I mean, again, back then it was like we was just testing. We was just seeing what we could do, what we could make. And now going forward, like these shirts, I want to make more of them. I mean, I still got a lot to figure out, but I want to be able for people to have not just a shirt, not just a brand that's a label, but an actual piece that represented them and is a home of what they doing. So I want to close out with just in your idea where you see Hamian going in the future, in your opinion.
My opinion, I see us going pretty far. Next 5-10 years, probably having our own building downtown, maybe. I don't know if you want to be downtown.
I would love to. I mean, that sounds pretty solid to me.
Yeah, but he's probably selling shirts, just different apparel, maybe pants and hats by then.
But I would love to get. I mean, if we could do that soon, to be honest.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to try to, but we can see. But
Yeah, and then just like a separate section for the Hamian records too.
yeah, yes.
Yeah,
That'd be solid too.
I just see everything coming together. All the small side projects that you have with the with just the apparel, with the artists, with the other people who do different stuff like painting and things, like all that in one building.
I mean,
Just revenue.
Go on, son. Peace.
Go on.
Anyway, by J Ferg, I appreciate this. I appreciate your support for the past year almost
Yeah,
of just
it's a model
supporting
for
me with
you.
everything I doing, but specifically Hamian being out there for
Yeah,
everything.
but of
So,
course.
we can be front and center for the rest of this wave. So,
I know.
yeah, babe.
Elbow touch.
Yeah, because I was gonna ready to dap out. Anyway, but y'all, we about to take another intermission. Thank y'all, and thank you to J Ferg
Yes, sir.
behind the box.
I'd rather go through the pain, drive my people insane. I know they waiting on me. These niggas can't even see. I'm just trying to be me. I'm just trying to be free. I'm just trying to reach them heights with niggas.
And we back to behind the box. We are actually behind another box here at the Dundas. We are at the Tinfurl Pop-Up Park. If you want to come see Hamian, come out to the Tinfurl Pop-Up Park. We have the box here. I'd show you the box, but I'd rather you come and see it because photos, videos don't do the box justice. You got to see the box in person. That's just how it is. Thank you for watching Behind the Box, this exclusive limited edition series with the Original People Network where we dive into the ideas behind the box, not just the physical box, but the mental box. And to talk about such conceptual ideas, I have with me one of the few geniuses that I know, the one and only Nicky. Introduce yourself.
Hey, good to see y'all. This is not going to be in the video, so I'm straight. Wait, is this live?
Yeah, we live.
This is live. This is crazy. Okay. My name is Nicky Bower. I'm Director of External Affairs for Hamian. I am a Hamianaire.
Live movie. Hamian. Live. So let's get straight into it. I know you pretty much all my life. We was in high school together from the jump. But I'll never forget one day at the beginning of my senior year. I remember I was sitting outside on one balcony at school, and everything just hit me. I was like, "Boy, cultural diplomacy is the key." And the first, I was like, "Who should I call?" And I called you. Tell me about that phone call that we had. What's going through your mind?
I was honored, truly honored. But Benji hit me with a big idea that day, and I was on a camping trip. I was in a camping trip in Maine up at school. I was leading this camping trip, actually, and then I just went MIA for like 2 hours. People were like, is Nicky dead? Is he lost? But truly, I guess I was lost in the sauce, because what Benji was saying was just, he was like, Nick, wait, we about to run something big from the Bahamas. And at first, I'm a pretty skeptical person, right? So at first I asked Benji some questions to see where he's going with it. But then Benji starts breaking down this cultural diplomacy idea for me. And then question after question, he comes up with point after point of why the Bahamas is the perfect place to start this cultural diplomacy idea. It was like, I really thought about it. Like, the Bahamas, people, when I introduced myself, I lived in China for a while, and now I'm at school in the States. When I say I'm from the Bahamas, people really just freak out. Like, wow, the Bahamas, the image that has been created over the past 50 years to make this like the best, the most successful tourism industry in the Caribbean is insane. And how we can't let that go dormant, especially with social media getting so big, it really could be like a whole new wave.
Fact.
So he was saying how we could take this stuff, we could take the Bahamas global in a new way, not necessarily like the same old-fashioned hospitality way, but truly like representing Bahamian culture in a way that is like meaningful, immersive. And basically Benji was like, "Hey, there's New York, Milan, Shanghai. How come Nassau is not there?"
List, right? Why is it not on the list? And to break down this cultural diplomacy idea, it's kind of like this, right? It's like you focus on what you're doing locally, you build that up, you get proficient at it. And then instead of just keeping it in one place, take it somewhere else. So it's this idea that imagine if every country in the world had a culture hub, where in that hub, they had artists, musicians, designers, they had artisans, they had activists. And that culture hub did diplomacy trips kind of around the world to the different hubs for networking and connections. So if you were an artist, say you were a painter in the Bahamas, you could work on a project for a music video with a Swedish rapper and a videographer from Taiwan. Just if you have the networks to just facilitate that exchange. The reason I was like, the Bahamas is such a good country to start it off is the Bahamas per capita is like the greatest country in the world. Like, we have the most Olympic gold medals per capita. We have the most everything literally per capita. So you could focus on just getting a couple really successful people and exporting the culture around the world, because we have the sun, the sand, the sea that make the Bahamas well known. You could go to any country in the world and say Bahamas, and they already have an idea. Probably they think about pigs too, because they push those ads as well.
Definitely.
But niggas know the Bahamas. So add in that extra bit of no, this is actually the culture attached. There's a lot of networking opportunities that you could then bring home. If you are like Chaz, a climate change activist, and you know people who are in that field in Europe and in Africa, let's not go to New York for a conference. Let's go to Bahamar or Atlantis or another space in the Bahamas and bring those people there, because you benefiting from the just natural environment. I'm curious, obviously you studied a lot about history, about worlds, about the economy. How important is it for us to diversify our economy and start looking at the orange entertainment economy as an opportunity to really push the country forward?
I do think that's the Bahamas' biggest challenge for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And we really got to think long term for this. Diversifying economy really doesn't happen overnight, but like I believe that there are certainly some huge opportunities to do it, especially because we're not bound to traditional media anymore. In the past, it was like a big event happened, and it was traditional media that basically took the reins on it and like told it however they wanted. I think social media, especially we see it with the Black Lives Matter movement right now, where in the past it was social media. I mean, you look at traditional media, right, and like how they're handling the Black Lives Matter situation. They're just focusing on looting. They're focusing on like, oh, they call it violent protests, right? Nobody's really getting hurt, but there's destruction of property, and they're saying like they're taking the educational opportunity out of it completely, just for they're trying to entertain, and I think that is very destructive, right? Social media is like really empowering new opportunities both for education and also like getting the right message out there, right? So if you are about the right message, social media has now given you the opportunity to put it out there. And I think that'll play a huge role in diversifying the Bahamian economy, especially through the creative industries. And I think that like we see from Hurricane Dorian and from the COVID-19 pandemic that we are stuck in this cycle of dependence on the United States economy. I mean, like 2008 financial crash, that might have affected the U.S. really hard, but it affected us 5 times as hard. I mean, we're talking we had after 2008, it was like we had nothing, you know? And with that kind of dependence where you're just like, can't do anything about it, I think like breaking that cycle of dependency that we've been stuck in for the past, I don't know, since the beginning of
tourism, really.
Real. Like that's a huge task. But like, I believe that taking Bahamian talent, like what Hamian does, taking Bahamian talent and like giving them what they need, giving them like the business side of things, giving them the promotional side of things. Because if you're an artist, you can't do all that stuff.
Yeah,
you want to be able to focus on your own craft.
Your own work.
You want to be able to like soak in reality and not have to worry about, oh, how do I promote myself? It's like it's a huge amount of work. So like
business, yeah.
alleviating creatives of that side of it, which not everybody is good at. And I think like that's what Hamian can play a huge role in, like letting artists just do their thing, letting them do their thing and get big.
Yeah, you brought up a big point about media, because I think traditional media is all about ultimately telling a story. And I don't really trust the story that big media is trying to push. A lot of it is keeping people fearful. It's about pulling people back to buying brands. It isn't necessarily fruitful and positive. The benefit of social media, it's a blessing and a curse, is that when you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, this echo chamber forms where you are only really seeing about less than 1% of all of the content that's being put on the platform. Millions and billions of amounts of information is uploaded, but you only see a small tailored segment. And you're seeing that on a regular basis. And the question is, what are you consuming? What are the ideas around it? The benefit of what I saw from Black Lives Matter is they were able to use social media's opportunity to educate about historic oppression, begin to show people the bigger narrative and bigger picture. But again, my question is, that's what I see, right? I don't know if everybody sees the same thing, because those are the people I follow. This is the type of content I engage with. Someone else, somewhere else in the world, could be consuming a completely different narrative and different story. But that's why I feel like it's important to use social media as a tool for good, to begin to project into it these ideas of Bahamian excellence. Because no one on the side of the road is going to come to you and really speak a lot of positivity on a consistent basis on what Bahamians can do and what they can be. But if you put that in social media space, people see it. Maybe once. They probably question it the first time. Then they see it again. Then they see other people supporting it. And that's why I say ultimately it's a mentality, because that mentality shifts and it moves to people, and people pick it up and then spread it, and it just kind of matriculates and percolates all throughout the networks of society. I want to ask you this question because we talk about this a lot. You talk about the dependence on the U.S., but there's also this big issue of money being drained out of the country.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because recently you've always telling me about this idea of how much money actually stays in the Bahamas.
I think like when we're spending money at a bunch of retail stores here, I think we're not really realizing where that money is going. And I do believe that like it really will take a shift in mentality, like you say. Sometimes it's just about the shift in mentality, which drives these very important decisions that will build up over time. So say I go to a fast food chain in Nassau.
Wendy's.
I go to Wendy's in Nassau.
Specifically.
See, we at Tinfoil right now. Wendy's. The greatest architectural marvel in the past 5 years is that
Bahamas.
Wendy's on Mackey Street.
Yes. They got windows from the ground all the way up. That's like a huge building.
I mean, Bahamar is very cool, but that Wendy's is taking me. Blew me away.
Yeah.
It's like I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, Wendy's is so successful here. And I'm thinking, but then I started thinking, okay, I could spend my money at Wendy's, or I could spend my money at Tinfoil. I'm really wondering where whose pocket is that money going into, and it goes very deep as well. Like, where are you sourcing food from? So these Tinfoil vendors, right? I mean, where are we getting our carrots from? Where are we getting our tomatoes from? Lettuce, chicken, and if it really sustainable development. It all just connects in the back. It's not so clear, but in terms of if we could create somehow a metric, right, where you spend $1 at a certain vendor, and you're able to know how much of that dollar actually stays in the Bahamas, how much of that dollar stays in the pocket of a Bahamian. I think that would be a very helpful way to figure out, okay, I'm spending my money in the right way that will help the Bahamas. Because say this X figure, right? $500 million. We're spending $500 million on food that we import from the United States. If that $500 million was being spent instead for Bahamian local producers, I mean, the impact over 10, 20 years, it's unfathomable how much, if that money was staying in the country, how much of impact it could have, right? And it would come with it would come with higher prices at first, right? Because you think about like this is real neocolonialism. Yeah. It's like the United States basically owns the World Trade Organization, owns the IMF. You know, these austerity measures that there's a bunch of news like maybe 5 years ago about imposing austerity measures to prevent the Bahamas from getting junk status, right? Yeah. I mean, it's all designed for these countries, these developed countries, to just get the best of us. And, you know, with these corn subsidies, right? And just produce subsidies in general, farm subsidies in the United States. I mean, how do we compete with that? You really can't compete with that short term. You need some long-term investment to be able to get like the economies of scale to really compete with those prices. But at the end of the day, even if you are spending 10% more on your produce, the impact that has, if it's being spent in the Bahamas, if it's being spent on the produce of local producers at a farmer's market, and these things are there. But the thing is, they can't really grow unless people shift their mindset to see how important that is. And I believe like that's where education starts. That's where like, for example, thinking about the sustainable lifestyle, which connects so much with our national development, thinking about Sustain Your Belly. Shout out to Chaz Garraway.
Yes, sir.
And
Sustain Your Belly.
And Melissa and Tiana at the team of Sustain Your Belly.
Yeah.
For really like pushing these ideas, because they're extremely important for figuring out how do we change these habits to benefit ourselves, because we're being robbed and we don't even know it.
And the crazy thing is, you talk about this idea of having homegrown products. Entertainment is also a product. You know, how many Bahamians spend their time on YouTube watching American YouTubers, or listen to American rappers, or Netflix documentaries that have been produced in the States? And nothing is wrong with that. But we really need to have a conscious effort in creating Bahamian-owned products and then having a support system to feed into that and actually consume what is being put out there. Because there are Bahamian content creators, there are Bahamian artisans, there are Bahamian artists, but we need to have the culture to really prioritize local. And yes, does it hurt in terms of cost at the beginning? Yeah, it does. But long term, you are just investing into your own people. And all this money that comes in with tourism, you allow for it to stay in the country. Imagine 3 million foreign people coming in to consume locally produced goods and services that are sourcing locally produced additional goods and services. It creates a tremendous trickling economic effect. And something as simple as, how we've looked at tourism, like, for example, with a straw market, a lot of those goods are not even made by Bahamians. they're bought off at a lower price and then resold. I think we have to take the advantage of the Bahamas being this luxury destination.
Totally.
And say, if you are a painter, if you make bags, if you make products, raise your price, put a premium on it, but make it as good as possible and get it in the right spots so that tourists can see. Because tourists are willing to pay above average price for something if it is worth it. And the same thing with what we're doing with Hamian and shifting that mentality. I think it's important that we have this very, I don't say nationalistic, but just a respectful approach to the people who are in the country doing good work. Because if I'm supporting you, then my mentality is, hey, if I just supported him, then maybe someone will support me. And that pushes you more and more to want to do things that are local. What do you think are some of the most important things that something like Hamian has to do going forward in order to make that economic shift, as well as the entire educational shift, and as well as how important are other sectors like the public, nonprofit, and private sector to making this happen?
I think definitely Hamian plays a role in empowering the youth. Like our reach is mostly youth at this point, right? Mm-hmm. And mostly because youth are the people using social media and really engaging with the youth are the people that have hope. I think we are told a lot as Bahamians. This echoes what Brandon says. We're told a lot as Bahamians that this is not the place for us. We gotta leave, go to Canada, stay there, right? But I think shifting the mentality and saying, if we can innovate, if we can come up with new ideas and not get funneled into like the hospitality pipeline, which I do believe is very important, but create other pipelines, create creative pipelines. I think Hamian plays a huge role in basically like alleviating what creatives will have to do, and also giving them ideas to enhance their craft and basically like make hope a thing back again, you know, because
Hope is a weapon.
And
Shouts out to Angelica, Wallace Whitfield. Hope is a weapon.
most definitely.
You got to utilize it.
And I think that when it comes to one of the most important things the Bahamas has to do is basically educate so that these pipelines can have the people with the resourcefulness and the innovation and like basically people who are capable to take hold of these opportunities that will be coming out of like basically a revolution that is brought on by technology and social media, and really getting, I think, getting Hamian into the policy arena with organizations like the Organization for Responsible Governance, and working with policymakers to basically implement strategies to allow for creative economy growth, and I think it really does often come down to the education. I mean, the fact that is really disheartening for the whole nation. I mean, when I see the education report every year and I see the D- average, and I'm talking BJCs, getting a D- on BJCs, you know, and you have like how much money is being spent per head at private schools versus how much money is being spent per head at public schools. And you think that like, oh, we need to increase funding for those public schools because wealth is being accumulated in like many people are completely disenfranchised.
Yeah,
One, because their mentality, like you look at the McKinsey study in education, mentality is the biggest determinant of educational success. Wow. And when you're told from the start that the highest you're gonna go is a
You work in Atlantis, driving
real
on
talk.
at the
Like
base level, like that's the biggest opportunity you can have.
if that is the ceiling, I mean, what is the incentive? What is the incentive to go forward, right? But then if we're able to
Change the incentives,
100%,
change the mentality, change the education, diversify the economy, get more means of production, then you get more money, and then boom, coronavirus, you're dead. Black Crab Syndrome, bomb, you're dead.
yeah.
Thank you.
I do believe that like building community, Hamian plays a role in like building community too. Building community and also mixing, like I do believe there's a great amount of class stratification in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And if you mix that class stratification, I think that would play a much bigger role in allowing for the mentality to be changed. The biggest determinant is mindset, not mentality, but having a positive mindset towards the future that you could have hope. Like hope is a weapon.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Nicky, for bringing that analysis and that information and that education and that mindset. This is Behind the Box. Thank you.
Thank you, Benji. Thank you, Benji.
Now I'm on a level, make the throne a modern masterpiece. Modern boy has it, never fumbled, never missed a beat. If I did, it's all about perception, it's a win to me. I remember days when I was younger, only God and me.
Welcome. We back to Behind the Box, an exclusive series where we dive into the story behind the box. We're going to get straight into it. I'm here, blessed to be here with the one and only Ari. Ari, introduce yourself to the people still.
I'm Ari.
Boom. So we can just talk a little bit about some of the work that we trying to push right now. For those y'all who don't know, we officially have the box set up here at the Tin Furl Pop-Up Park for anyone if you're interested to drive by and come take a look at it. If you're interested in shooting a video there, hit us up, pass by. If you want to take photos there, hit us up, pass by. We literally want to create a new innovative space that can build culture and community. So we just want to use this time. Ari's going to ask me a couple more questions, interview me a little bit, and I said I would. So let's get straight into it. What you want to ask me, Ari?
Okay, so Benji, tell us, did y'all cover Hamian Official and how Hamian Official started?
Yeah, we went over brand origin. Yeah.
What about magazine?
Oh no, we ain't really touched.
So let's talk about the origins of Hamian magazine.
All right, boom. All right, so Hamian magazine really first started January 1st when we launched the brand. We originally had Hamian Official, but it got taken down by Mark Zuckerberg and, all of Facebook and all them because, I know, many reasons, but that's all a long story. But we got the page deleted. And after that, we was like, what are we going to do? Because we built this page for the past 2 months, and now it's not here anymore. So we kind of made the decision to pivot and make Hamian Magazine, which would be kind of a promotional platform for everything Hamian. And by that, I mean just Bahamian excellence. And I think the biggest thing that we did, even though we put out magazines on a daily basis, probably about like 60, 70 editions now, was during COVID when we started launching that talk show. And we was like, okay, people at home, they just sitting up by themselves. Let's give them something to consume. So we started, that was a big thing, starting to run the Hamian Magazine talk show. And we brought on like 150 guests in the span of 2-3 weeks. So I think that was probably the biggest accomplishment Hamian Magazine has done so far. And that just came from this idea of always wanting to break the box and innovate. So that's Hamian Magazine so far.
So how do you plan on using these connections that you made through these talk shows and through bigging up these artists? How do you plan on using that connection as leverage in the future?
Yeah, so, really the start of those relationships was just about providing that opportunity to people, whether that was to have a conversation, make a photo for them, give a platform for them. But ultimately, we want to use those relationships to work on more projects in the future. The more creatives I know means that there's more opportunities when I connect to business or any other opportunities to bring them on into the process. I don't do everything, but by allowing me to know people who do those different things, whether that's they're an activist, whether that's in media, whether that's in art, we want to take that relationship and then bring that together on a future project. So it may not be right away, but every person that we've met and that we've interacted with, we ultimately want to utilize for a future project in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the box. How did that transpire?
How we got the box in the first place? That was a blessing. We had some very, very generous individuals who were able to work and build the box, which was crazy because, I didn't even think that we could have something like that. I had the idea for it, but we had some innovative people construct it. I won't say who built the box just because I don't feel like, I don't think they would want that press, but we had some people build the box. And then we moved it here, and we were talking about that with Jared a little bit, but yeah. Do you know who built it?
I built the box.
Whoa, Ari built
the box with my good friend who you can't see. He's offset, but
Wow.
He's right there. We build the box together, and
yes.
best project of the year, hands down.
Solid. I agree. Any other questions you have?
You got anything for me?
I'll talk a little bit about the Bahamas. What do you feel like is? We talked a little bit with Nicky about shifting the mindset. What do you feel like is necessary to begin pushing the Bahamian mindset in a area that is focused on national excellence, collaboration, and just being the best that we could be?
Well, I think it starts with educating people because in order to get any kind of mindset or change a mindset, we need to educate people on what the mindset is that we want to change it to, if that makes sense. So it's if we say, okay, we want people to start shifting toward this mindset or mentality of Bahamian excellence, well, we need to be able to define Bahamian excellence. What is Bahamian excellence? How do we convey this to the masses in order for them to start understanding and believing in Bahamian excellence?
What is Bahamian excellence in your opinion?
See, now listen. Now, this is the spot because since Hamian started, we've been trying to define what Bahamian excellence is. And if I have to put it in my own words, I would say that Bahamian excellence is an energy. It's something that you give off. It's not just something that, okay, yes, it could be art, it could be music, it could be your policy making or any plan that you have, the projects you work on. It can be anything. It could be a person. And it's literally just the energy that you give off. That is what Bahamian excellence is. It's the energy of the people.
And I'm going to ask you another definition. In your opinion, what is breaking the box?
See, breaking the box, now I got a couple definitions for this.
all right,
and there was one person who said...
She didn't want to be on the podcast at first. I just want to make that known.
No, it's not that I didn't want to be on the podcast. It's just I'd rather stay behind the scenes. But since you put me on the spot, you know...
You're so lovely.
Thank you. Since you put me on the spot. Now, listen, I had a conversation with someone. They said the easiest way to break the box is just to pretend like there never was a box in the first place. And listen, that's key. That's key. But the way to break the box is to just understand that, man, you could do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. You're literally any structure or societal anything that you think you are put in, you are not. Like, you are a free person. You could drop out of school and start a company. You could go to school and get your PhD. You could do whatever, and nobody could tell you anything. The world is literally yours. There are no rules, babe.
There are no rules. That's facts. Wow. Okay, I gotta ask you one last thing because we getting some gems. I want one last opinion and perspective. Personally, you've seen how Hamian has grown this far. Where do you see, just in the short term, over these next few months, where do you see Hamian going with this project Break the Box? Where do you see it, the future for Hamian being?
Well, I think that specifically with Break the Box, I mean, we took something that people say, oh, the box, you're born into the box. You know, we took that idea and we made that physical. So now this is something that people can look at and they can say, okay, this is the box. But this isn't a representation of what you can't do. It's a representation of what you actually can do. Now you see the box and you can see, okay, this is how we're going to break it. We're going to turn this box into a monument. And this is going to be a visual art piece. We're going to collaborate instead of compete. We're going to use artists and we're going to use art and culture to redefine what society is. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Wow,
so,
this is powerful.
But listen, man, one thing I got to say, there's going to be a Hamian flag. It can be one little pirate ship flag. And I telling you, 2020, the Bahamas will be known for Hamian Break.
I can't say it. We got to end it on that note. We got to cut this intermission. Thank you, Ari, for that one.
In a better me, left me in a void so open, raising animosity. You can't hear when you are moved so open for the world to see. God King, praise be Jesus' name.
Hey, welcome back to Break the Box. Yeah, we got claps because we had the home stretch, and you know we're gonna close it out with a bang on a solid note. For everyone watching, just to remind y'all, my name is Boat. And this is Behind the Box, the exclusive limited edition, one of a kind, never seen before series in collaboration with Original People Network and Hamian to bring y'all the inside scoop behind the box. And this conversation in particular will give y'all some insight on what we're doing right now behind the box to make the box as fresh as possible. So I have with me the one and only Monika. Introduce yourself.
Hello.
Big hype.
Hey everyone, I'm Monika Anne Cunningham, also known as Monika Anne, and yeah, so.
Solid. And I think it's great to end this segment off with artists and with art because that's the space that we're going into right now. We're discussing art and we're talking about the power of it to do more than just sit up on a wall and look pretty, but actually make a change. And I think you're one of the perfect people to have on. You were able to be on our project as one of our directors for this Break the Box project. But before we talk about that, I want to pull it back and just talk to you a little bit about your journey as an artist. Talk to us about how you got into art and some of the work that you do right now?
So basically, I started taking art seriously, I think, on realizing my potential in high school, mainly from like the 10th grade straight up to senior year. And so I wanted to not only just paint and like make things that were like beautiful or pleasing to the eye, but address like topics and situations that might be uncomfortable or like swept under the rug, but also like realizing that being unique in yourself is what makes you like different. Like all of us are made differently. Use what you have, use your talents to express yourself. And then I also realized that it helps with difficult situations, mental health, like bringing awareness to it and also getting through it. So that's how I kind of came up with Art Heals, which is my like slogan. Any work that I create, any events, any people who I try to touch is about healing and like bringing positivity. So yeah.
And that's big because, I mean, one thing that the one and only Lord Jalen taught me is this idea of being Batman and sitting back and kind of observing the culture and taking note of things going on. And I mean, with all the work I've done with Hamian, I would always keep note of the artists that I would see. And your art would always stand out because it was more than just art. It was creating space. It was telling a story. It was upscaling and transforming products into something much more. Talk to me about some of your favorite projects that you've worked on, maybe all the time, but also from 2020 specifically.
I think the first thing that would come up to my brain in terms of like most exciting would be during quarantine, to be honest. I felt the most creatively like energized, which might seem off or contradicting based on like what was going on, but all the ideas that I feel like my brain, I just felt free to like just express however I wanted to and to stay sane really. And so I think the quarantine backyard show that I had was the most exciting and still to this day the most exciting like project that I've gone through with. Mainly because it combined all of the things that I'm interested in, which is like creative direction, event planning, and then of course the art itself. So just being able to do that and realizing, okay, I have a space. We might be in a difficult situation, but you can still, especially with social media nowadays, you could still express yourself and touch others through that. So the setup and breakdown of the whole thing and creating the work, it was just amazing. Like think about it now, I just get excited because it was such an amazing thing for me, just as an artist and just like we saying breaking the box, but trying to think outside of it, you know?
Yeah, so. I think it was great to see people who used COVID as an opportunity to really, like I said, break the box, get innovative, and try new things. I mean, for us, Hamian Magazine almost benefited more from COVID than we might have without it because it took us opportunity to network, build connections, build brand. And I think, like you said, with the projects you've done, you were able to grow a lot. How have you seen your support grow through a lot of the projects that you did during quarantine?
So it was amazing and like humbling at the same time because I feel like everyone was tuned in because of what was going on through social media. And I decided to start a YouTube channel during that time as well, which was something that I've been thinking about for years. But like I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I want things to be in place. But I was like, well, everything happening, let me just do it. And so with the help of Hamian as well, like exposure started happening where people would see my work and like, oh, this is what you're doing, what this is about. And they kind of felt the emotion through the pieces as well. And I think that's what kind of connected the, I guess, experience. And then I realized by posting, because I was kind of hesitant at first too, because it's so sensitive and everyone going through different things. But then realizing people like, oh my gosh, I felt that. Like, I can't believe you feel in the same way. So that relating to other people really helped. And so I've grown page-wise, Instagram and like other platforms like a lot. And the work, I was skeptical to see if I would still get orders coming in like for paintings and stuff, and I wasn't expecting much. But this time is the most like flowed orders that I've had in a long time because I guess people are inspired or want to support their own or even just have that sort of expression in their houses or rooms to keep motivated and like keep going. So yeah.
A big conversation I had with Ari back in 2019 was how do we innovate and evolve the art community, and how do we create spaces and avenues for art to transform the lives of people physically? Because I feel like in some ways it's become a bit traditional and hasn't allowed itself to continue moving and staying up to date. At the very core of it, how do you take a piece of art and really transform it to be something that evokes emotion or that makes a social difference? Because I mean, even me as an artist, I don't know anything about art. I have no traditional art background whatsoever, but I understand that you can make things and those things can then make other people feel things.
Right.
And those feelings can then result in tangible results, you know, like social architecture. How do you give a piece meaning and feeling?
I think the main thing is just being like authentic. At the end of the day, all of our experiences may be different, but it connects in some sort of way. So just when you're thinking about making a piece, don't think of it as, oh, okay, I want to make it pretty or I want it to be sold kind of thing. Like, just express yourself in that moment and then also think this can go further. So, for example, when I create a painting, I don't think of it just as, okay, I think about this going in a gallery or like being sold to someone. I see it as, okay, this could be used as a symbol for something. This painting could be transformed into a poster with messages that go around, you know, like you have to think kind of beyond what it is. And then also don't limit yourself. So you can't just, I personally don't like just saying, okay, I'm a painter and that's it. Like it doesn't just stop at me making acrylic paintings. Like I could be used as an ambassador for something or art therapy through my paintings or events that help with healing. And like, you know, you just have to think outside, like I said, and art is not just one umbrella. I think that's another thing that we have to like get out of. It's not just someone painting or making a drawing and it's beautiful. It's more of different umbrellas of writing and performance and even what we're doing now with the box, like this is community building and like networking. So just thinking of like simple concepts and then thinking, okay, what does this touch? Like economic, like which areas? Because I feel like art is like fluid in that aspect. So that's the main thing, at least. Just the changing the way you think about what art is mainly. So
And I'm curious, what was your first impression when you came across Hamian? Because I mean, I've known you for a long time, but this is really the first time that we've really reconnected and started to, you know, speak and get to know each other. What was your first impression when you saw the Hamian brand?
I was honestly like super impressed, and I was like the more impressed with the diversity and like literally thinking in a different manner, because as an artist, I feel, well, for some people, and this is what happened to me as well, you kind of are backed into a corner sometimes and you're told that you only can do a certain thing. And if you're not one of the bigger names or common known, then you ain't really doing nothing. And so I was inspired by that. Y'all were reaching out to the, I guess, known names, I guess, and also smaller upcoming people that you might not even know about, and the vast amount of like areas that y'all were covering as well. And like the way y'all were expressing it was in a different way. It wasn't just, okay, Bahamian, this only for this specific, it's something that anyone, wherever you're from, could be received. And you know, I felt like that was just a beautiful thing. And it was also a way to connect, because I was learning about other artists. I was like, okay, there's some people who I should connect to, network with. So I was really impressed and excited in future. I didn't know it was going to be like this quickly, but to connect and like work with y'all. Because it's the same kind of, it's always good to like stay with like-minded people. And that's, I was like, okay, they look at it making sense. And I want to think, I would usually think of like things around that realm, like trying to be different, and like y'all stood out immediately. So, and
you know, it's crazy. So I was on this podcast called Everything Cool at the beginning, like before quarantine started, and I was talking to them about my ambition of being able to do an art show in some type of way in the future. And I had that vision and dream and idea of it probably back in February. But like I said, I have no art experience. I didn't know how that would happen, but I understood if I just took the right mentality of position myself in the right place and having the right type of energy, that I could connect with the right people. And it's crazy that, again, when you came on the show, there wasn't an idea of this. 3 weeks ago, there wasn't an idea of this being at the, like, 3 days ago, only just like today, we were really finalizing how we wanted to go forward and build a project. But I'm excited that now we can announce that we're launching Project Break the Box, which is taking this physical structure of the box that we have and transforming it into this public art monument that can build culture and community. Talk to me a little bit about the project, what it means, and and some of the goals and ambitions that we want to try and accomplish.
So, like, I'm super excited for the project, mainly because I think this is what it's all about in terms of connecting with other artists or even people who appreciate art, because you don't have to only be an artist to be a part of something great. And so the project, like Breaking the Box, I think will bring together like the art community, and you also get to see different styles of different artists and what they want to say and what they think Bahamian excellence is. And that's mainly the basis of the whole thing. Like, we want to bring together some of the best and inspire others by having this project, like this blueprint basically of using one thing that might seem simple or like, oh, I would never really look past or whatever, and then making it into something amazing. So I think that's what this project is going to be essentially, and I'm super excited because I could already see like how
vision.
amazing,
Yeah.
yes, like how it could be, and the opportunities as well.
Talk to me about the blueprint. Obviously, we want to bring together a lot of creatives, but not just painters. We want to have different people together. Tell people a little bit of what they can expect when we have a finished project. What does the blueprint look like, at least for right now?
So basically, the box itself is going to be covered in artwork and Bahamian excellence, essentially. And you're going to see a collage or collaboration of Bahamian artists' work of both painting, but not only just painting, but writers, public speaking, excerpts of work from poets, and because, like I said, the umbrella isn't that just one umbrella. There are several ways to express art. So we're gonna have basically, you'll see the work of some of the best in almost like a Rubik's Cube sort of look, but lack of a better term, I guess. Showing and showcasing the...
Hey, sorry, 1 second. Let me grab this. You want to move this? I apologize.
No, you're good.
You move that. I think that's probably the reason. Apologies. I like that comparison to a Rubik's Cube, because that is actually probably what it's going to look a little bit like. My goal with the project is I really want to see how, by just having people in the same space, by having people pass by, you can spark creativity and people who look at it, being able to have words as well as photos. It's not something that you can measure by metrics. And that's one thing I like about it, is that, in the business world, in the politics world, everything is about numbers. It's like, how many sales do you have? How many people did you reach? But art is a bit different because the metric can't be measured. You can't measure people's mentality. You can't measure a lot of times creativity and culture. But that's the whole thing, that if we aim for that high of a level, you will have good numbers. You won't be able to say at the end of the day how many people had their lives changed, but you can say, this many people saw the box and this many people passed by and consumed it. This many artists were involved. And if you, maybe a year down the line, 2 years down the line, hear from these people, a lot of times they'll be like, that was a moment that really switched things and moved things.
Right.
Even though we want to bring people together, we also want to have some type of a showcase.
Right.
And I mean, we don't have all the specific details for that yet, but how would you like a final sort of signature showcase to look like?
So obviously we want to highlight the box at this showcase, almost like an unveiling, I guess. But we also want to get the community together and have networking as well, and showcase maybe some of the artists who we couldn't specifically have on the box. So like singers or rappers or people who are creatives as well, but showcase it in different ways. So we want to have a night or evening or day or even all three where we just showcase that, and we have a cool, chill environment where we could just have a good time and use the box as a backdrop and, again, blueprint to say this is something that you could use in the future to inspire and to just basically promote what you're doing. So I see it as just like good vibes all around, music, and we already have the perfect environment because we have food and drinks, we already have good energy. So it's just a matter of putting it together. And I think that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think we really are blessed to be able to have this space of the Tin Frill pop-up park to not only just say we could do this now, but who knows where the future may lie. And even though there's this showcase that we're, setting up for around Independence Time, leading up to that, we want to get as much content as possible. So if anyone who's watching this is a content creator, a videographer, photographer, literally anything, you were invited to come and just express yourself creatively with this box. And then going forward past that, who knows, this may be the base of operations for Hamian work, Hamian events
Right.
on a regular daily basis. And again, who knows? This may not be the only box.
Right.
Maybe there's another box.
Several.
Maybe we
Let's
break
box
this
something
box.
else, exactly.
You know,
Something bigger or more permanent. You never know. Yeah. for
yeah,
sure.
and I think ultimately it comes down to the fact of the mentality. You know, if you can change the mentality, if you can put people in that right mindset,
Right.
then you
Anything
can.
is possible.
Anything is
For sure.
possible. Anything is possible. What would you say to people who maybe doubt, you know, their ability to break the box? You talked about how art can heal. There's probably some people who may see this box and may get inspired. But how do we take it one step further and allow for that piece to really change not only a mindset but a paradigm on life? What is the message that needs to be intertwined into everything so that people can go forward and break their own personal box in their life?
I think like one thing to keep in mind is that it's your own journey. Like you might see the progress of other people, or like some other creatives who might you might feel discouraged because you're like, I'm not moving as quickly, or I don't get recognized as much. But it's more about like realizing that you have your own voice, and once you stick to your own, I feel like once you stick to yourself and being authentic, there's no one else who can do what you do. Basically, that people could try to mimic it, people could try to. But it's literally your thing. So once you stick to that, I feel like you'd always be successful, because something I do or something you do, you can't say, oh, I could try to mimic what you're doing, but it's not going to be the same. And so when you get to the place where you feel discouraged, or that you're like, I don't really know if I could do this, take a breather, but then also keep like working at it. So like write down even the tough things that are happening, or like whatever's discouraging you, and your challenge to yourself should be trying to overcome that, and like surround yourself with people with that good energy as well, even when you don't feel as if you're in that space, because that encourages you to keep going and like, making sure that you try to heal people with your work and stuff.
There's this phrase that I'm using to try and design the next line of clothing that we put together for Hamian, of what I want the collection to be about, and it would be titled "You Can Never Be Me." And the reasoning I use that verbiage is because for some people you may look at that and say, oh, it's cocky, it's selfish, but then when you actually embody that phrase, it's like, you know, I can only be me, and you can never be me.
That's true.
So I have to be the best me I could be, and you can't be me.
Exactly.
You got to go and do your own thing. But just in closing, I'm encouraged to see the collaboration that's happened so far, and I'm excited for this project. And literally every day it comes to life more and more. And anyone, again, who's watching and you're interested in supporting, please reach out to us. If you want to collab with us, Hamian Official, Hamian a Magazine, reach out to us on Instagram and connect. Because I think it's so important that we begin, as artists, shifting the mentality and community towards just that, community, and focusing on working and coming together to really create social impact rather than just staying in our own lanes. Yes, we can be the best that we can be, but we can be even better if we all push at the exact same time.
Stronger together. Yeah.
Stronger together. Forward, upward, onward, together.
Hey.
This is Behind the Box. Thank you all so much for watching. We will have an amazing episode next week. I don't know what it'll be, but it will be amazing.
Right.
And you can count on that. Thank you so much for the people at Original People Network for helping us. Thank you so much for Hamian Official. Thank you so much for the Bahamas. And thank you so much for the opportunity, ultimately, from God to have life and to experience this amazing thing. Even though 2020 has been bumpy, it's only up from here, I think.
I agree.
Behind the Box, thank you.
Elevate, yeah. Sunday.